The Crisis Report. It is June 22nd, 2025. We are now about 24 hours removed from the American entry into the war with Iran between Israel and Iran. And we are going to cover all the things. There's a good amount here. It's not a crazy amount. But there's a good amount here. And there's concerning stuff. And there's other things. I'd say today feels a little bit more crazy than the craziness that was going on yesterday. This one is entitled Pandora'S Box, because the worry is that they have opened up Pandora'S Box. So, I've been thinking about this, I'm not anti-Trump or anything like that. I'm anti-war. So let me tell you what the problem is. We have been here before. We have been here with the whole we need to go into Iraq. We've been here with the whole we need to go into Afghanistan. We've been here with the whole we need to go into Vietnam. We've been here with all of that. And when you go into these places, there's a lot of unintended consequences. Sure, we went in, we dropped some stuff, and lickety-split, look at that, we're out the door, and everything is just hunky-dory. We're good. Total success, blah, blah, blah. And then we start to read what all the sites are saying. Now, first of all, nobody knows exactly the state right now of anything. They're starting to get their first satellite images. They're starting to get their first looks on the ground. If you ask the Western forces, oh my God, it's the greatest thing since sliced MOP. If you ask Iran and the Eastern forces, oh my gosh, 'tis but a flesh wound. And nobody knows. And we won't know. We won't know today. We won't know in a few days. We probably won't even know next week into next month. But operations are going to keep going. And that's the problem. So already people have been posting, and this is kind of where I'm at. If it was such a phenomenal thing, why are you still going? Why are they still going at them? And trust me, as you're going to hear tonight, they're still going at them. So why is it? Why is it that all of a sudden, this supposedly was supposed to be the brutal blow, and things are still going. There is no cessation, none. Not even a pause for a day. A little, hey, we're going to let you guys think about it for 24 hours. We're going to stop everything going on and let you assess. Nothing like that. That's the problem. Because what I fear, and I could be wrong, is that the further we go along, the more it's going to come out, oh, well, you know what? We didn't get quite what we needed to get. Oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. Certain people are certain in power, and we need to go in and start. Oh, my gosh, they didn't get the message. We need to go back in. We need to go back in. We need to go back in. That's the problem. Honestly, outside of this, I got no problems with what Trump's done so far. I think there's a long way to go in the economy. I think there's a lot of stuff to do. I like them, getting rid of people that aren't supposed to be here. There's a lot of things they've done that I'm totally cool with. But I know from past history that this thing is going to become a quagmire and bog us down. And the whole point was not for that. The whole point was to stay away from all that crap, to focus inward, to right the ship of America, and move on from there. And yes, I can be MAGA, and I'm not. I like America. I'm not a MAGA. I don't like those kind of things. But you can be MAGA and dislike these strikes. You can be. It's possible. It's true. Yeah. You can do that. You can do that. So You don't have to love what's going on, to be MAGA. You can hate it and still be like, all right, well, let's get this back on track, okay? Because that's where I'm at. Because my fear is that this is going to take us off track, okay? I've said my piece. I'm not going to go out and start trashing Trump. I'm not going to start trashing anybody. I'm just going to take you through the intelligence of what's going on, and you, smart people that you are, can decide for yourselves. There's a lot of things I put out today that I'm going to be reading today that I have concern with. I don't want us to get bogged down in another war. And 24 hours outside, there's a very good possibility we're going to get bogged down. So we'll see. Let's take you through it. For those that have missed it, whoosh, it's back, baby. Got cans again. I got bottles too, but when we're doing the crisis report, we crack a can, baby. All right. Let's go. Let's go on this. Let's get going. All right. This is your crisis report, 6/22/25. This one's called Pandora'S Box. Anything ever happens, go there. Church was bombed by terrorists in eastern Damascus. Many deaths reported. Unintended consequences. New York Times admits the U.S. attempt to destroy Fordow has failed. In an initial assessment, the Israeli military believes Fordow was not fully destroyed, but severely damaged. Israeli officials also said it appeared that Iran had already moved equipment, including uranium, away from the site. That is the New York Times. They're probably loving this because now they got something they can make people dislike Trump on. Officially, Iran has started returning tankers to the Strait of Hormuz. Expect oil prices to explode. They're up 4%. Ships set to cross the Strait of Hormuz made a 180-degree U-turn at 9:15 a.m. Eastern this morning, just minutes after Iran's parliament approved the closing of the strait. Now, we cover that over on PrepperNow. Hopefully, you have also decided to check over and watch the 5 Wise Men of Prepping. It is a 5-person, actually 6-person. I got to update it and put Arkansas Living in there. Who's one of my mods, and he used to do a YouTube channel, but he got busy with life. Super smart guy. All 6 of us talk about all this stuff going on in a round table with questions and everything else. Highly, highly, highly recommend you watch it. These people are engineers. They are preppers. They are smart dudes. And they have great things to say. Highly recommend it. Yedioth, Adonoth, citing Israeli officials. Israel wants to end the war with Iran this week. They added that Israel will immediately accept a ceasefire if Iran proposes it. Have they done that? No, they have not. Commanding advisor says Iran's enriched uranium remains despite U.S. attacks. Associated Ford Press. U.S. calls on China to stop Iran from closing Strait of Hormuz. They go in, they do the deed, and they say, "Hey, China, get them to don't. Can you get them to keep the Hormuz open?" Because that is the worst case scenario. If the Hormuz is closed and oil barrels go up to $110, $120 a barrel, and people are staring down $5 a gallon gas, and that's possible. Doesn't matter what they like, what they do, however it goes, doesn't matter. It's all over. Narrative's lost, and we're back to right where we were with another, lame regime. Haaretz, citing an Israeli source, we must pursue a diplomatic approach with Iran because nothing more can be achieved through military means. Iranian foreign minister landed in Moscow ahead of his meeting with Putin today, or tomorrow, but I guess now today. Iranian officials said the U.S. response does not concern us. Iran will respond decisively to the attack on Fordow. Netanyahu I won't get dragged into a war of attrition with Iran. When we achieve our goals, our fighting will stop. Okay? Iranian security forces arrested 3 members of Ukraine's intelligence services who were trying to attack a drone factory in Esfahan. Why do we have Ukrainians in Iran? Go away. Oh, they will. They're going to be hung from a freaking crane in downtown Tehran here in a couple days. Netanyahu says Israel has an interesting intel on the location of Iran's 60% enriched uranium. He literally confirms that the Iranian enriched uranium is not destroyed, it's been moved. Russia's representative to the UN, if the escalation in Iran is not stopped, the entire world could find itself on the brink of a nuclear catastrophe. Yeah, you could. J.D. Vance says, I understand that Americans are fed up with wars for 25 years, and we are, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents. I don't care if you're smart, dumb, or whatever. It's not if they're smart or dumb. It's like, what are the decisions? And if this decision gets us into another war for a long time, that's a dumb decision, and it will define Trump. Multiple people injured in a shooting in a church in Wayne, Michigan. Active shooter was shot dead. Local media reports. We'll have more on that. Basically, a quick-thinking deacon outside saw what was going on and decided to use his vehicle as a force multiplier and took the guy out, or at least hindered him, and then he was taken out. Iran's Atomic Energy Agency says nuclear sites quickly are being rebuilt. Activity to continue with greater power. New high-resolution imagery captured on June 21st, 2025 suggests Iran was preparing the Fordow nuclear facility for a strike. The facility's entrance tunnels were observed being filled with earth by trucks and diggers. Earth can absorb blasts and reduce penetration from bombs or missiles. Blocking tunnels limit damage from shock waves and shield underground infrastructure. All centrifuges were removed a day before the attack and transported to an unknown location. It's likely that no significant damage occurred, only minor damage to the entrances. That's it. A show bombing that achieved nothing. Iran's uranium enrichment program will continue, stronger than ever, and now at a hidden location. That's the worry. Pizzerias and gay bars have told us that there was a strike going to be on Iran, because I guess everybody in the Pentagon loves pizza and guys. On the eve of the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, pizzerias near the Department of Defense saw a sharp spike in foot traffic, and according to Google Maps data, right after the strike, a similar surge was recorded in nearby gay bars, especially at the iconic Freddy's. Pattern had been noticed before ahead of a past military operations against Tehran. They literally monitor gay bars so they know when attacks are coming. Human beings are very patterned things, folks. First satellite image, a Fordow facility after getting struck by the U.S. shows 2 visible bomb entry points. However, it remains unclear how deep they penetrated and reached. Satellite image shows damage to the entrances of the Fordow facility as they covered in dust. Hegseth says this was an amazing attack and tremendous success. We destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, you have to listen. This is the most powerful military in the world, and no country in the world could have carried out this operation, not even close. Any retaliatory action by Iran against the United States will be met with much greater force than what you saw tonight. Iran needs to listen carefully to this. Trump said it, and he meant it. Hegseth always reveals that the attack on the facilities at Fordow was called Operation Midnight Hammer. Hegseth confirms that the B-2 aircraft deployed to Guam and Diego Garcia were decoys, distract the Iranians. He also reiterates that the U.S. does not seek regime change in Iran and just wants peace. Hegseth is confident that the Iranian nuclear program was neutralized. Iran's parliament has voted unanimously to close the Strait of Hormuz, final decision to be made by Ali Khamenei and the Supreme National Security Council. Erratic movement of Iranian ships in the Strait of Hormuz observed earlier today is likely a preparation for the mining of the strait and heavy restrictions international shipping in the Persian Gulf. While the Strait of Hormuz won't be completely closed thanks to the Omani territorial waters, which will still be open to maritime shipping, the war risk insurance cost should be enough to make global oil and gasoline prices spike. Thomas Massey, AIPAC is very persuasive. If you look at my colleagues' feeds now, they all look the same. They're all tweeting the same message. After claiming that the U.S. would limit itself to just bombing the Iranian nuclear program, Trump moves the goalpost and says that the regime in Iran must be replaced with one that can, quote, make Iran great again, end quote. Now, I've seen the MIGA thing before, but it was for another country that's one of the belligerents here. But now this whole thing is, as it says here, both of them are going to be made great again. Matt Gaetz on X says, it's almost like this was about regime change. Weird. Okay. MAGA PAC, effort to oust Representative Massey from Congress has been launched. Thomas Massey went to MIT, for those that don't know. He's an extremely intelligent person. Instead of focusing on taking out people that could be part of their movement, even if they disagree on things, they should be focused on other stuff. Just saying. Rubio doesn't take regime change off the table. Look, at the end of the day, if Iran is committed to becoming a nuclear weapon power, I do think it puts the regime at risk. I really do think it would be the end of the regime if they tried to do that. Iraq, a major fire broke out at a gas station. Al-Qurna district, Basra governorate. Unconfirmed reports saying the RGC has already begun with the mining of the Strait of Hormuz ahead of a possible closure of the strategic waterway in the Persian Gulf. If you filled your car up today because you think prices are going to explode, put a 1 in. If they're not going to explode and you're just chilling and you thought, screw it, we'll roll the dice, put a 2 in. United States Air Force Doomsday Plane E-4B Night Watch has been launched as Pentagon receives signals of a new level of danger. Wonder why. Plane serves as a survivable mobile command post for the National Command Authority, President Trump, and Secretary of Defense. Iran just discovered a strategic mineral the United States can't live without. Oh, what's that? It's called antimony. U.S. military relies on it for 200-plus defense systems, from ammo and missiles to night vision gear and solar grids. Antimony is worth $55,000 a ton. In March 2025, Iran announced it's discovered 7,000 tons, nearly 10% of the world's supply. Now they've got that plus 8 million tons of lithium. And just like that, 3 months later, here we are. And by the way, this is the greatest name for a channel ever. If I could go back and name it something like this, it'd be guys called Hustle Bitch. Freaking love it. Holy ish. Iran sitting on the world's second largest lithium deposit. Oh, okay. Iran announced it discovered 8 million tons of lithium, enough white gold to shift global power. U.S. bombed Iran attacks again. You can still think about, you think it's about nuclear weapons, folks? Might not be. U.S. intelligence officials have detected signs that Iran-backed militias are preparing to attack U.S. bases in Iraq and possibly Syria. And by the way, just because I'm pointing this out doesn't mean I hate Trump, doesn't mean I hate anybody. I'm just pointing it out for you to know. Okay? Just pointing it out. U.S. intelligence officials had detected signs that Iran-backed militias are preparing to attack U.S. bases in Iraq and possibly Syria. New York Times. State Department has issued a worldwide security alert advising U.S. citizens to exercise increased caution all over the world. IAEA Director Grossi says we still don't know if there was any damage to the underground facilities at Fordow. Still need to travel to Iran immediately. And then Russia said Israel is not a member of the NPT, so full IAEA inspections of Israel are not carried out. Iran is the only country that has accepted the most inspections, but instead of thanking this country, we bomb it and its civilians are targeted. Unfortunately, the Director General of the IAEA has never called for Israel to join the NPT. Situation seems fraudulent, at least to those people. Iranian air defenses destroyed another Israeli Hermes 900. Fuel tanks of Israeli jets keep being found on Iran's Caspian coast. Azerbaijan airspace is almost certainly being used as a launch pad towards Tehran. More than 15 martyrs and 22 critical injuries so far as a result of the treacherous suicide bombing at St. Elias Church. Multiple people injured in a shooting at a church in Wayne, Michigan. Active shooter is gone. State Department has ordered the departure of family members and non-emergency government personnel from Lebanon following U.S. strikes in Iran. A State Department notice emailed to U.S. citizens in Lebanon, says Reuters. Iranian regime Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi condemns U.S. bombings against nuclear facilities in Iran. United States, permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has committed a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and the NPT by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. The events this morning are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Each and every member of the UN must be alarmed over the extremely dangerous and lawless and criminal behavior. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response to self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interest, and people. Churchgoers are seen fleeing a Cross Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan after a shooting. 150 people, including kids, were in the church when it happened. Attacker rammed his truck straight through the front of the church, stepped out with a rifle, opened fire on the congregation. He was then run over by a church deacon, giving the security guard ample time to take the suspect down. Wayne, Michigan is just 20 minutes away from Dearborn, Michigan, the city with the largest Middle Eastern population in the United States. Preparations in full swing in GCC countries. Following U.S. attacks on Iran, Bahrain has urged drivers to avoid main roads in the country, while Kuwait has set up shelters in the Ministry of Finance, says Reuters. Trump declares Make Iran Great Again, floats the possibility of regime change. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA. Iranian channels report that the commander of the IRGC Ashura garrison in Najafabad was shot in his car by unknown gunmen, but survived. Oh, okay. Then he was injured and put into an ambulance, and the ambulance was then hit by a drone, and he died in the process. It's called war. An Israeli airstrike targeted the Parshin military base located at southeast of Tehran. According to local journalists, the Parshin defenses were activated a few minutes after the missile hit 2:31 a.m. Monday. Authorities in Kiev said early Monday the Ukrainian capital was being subjected to another massive attack by Russian drones, reporting at least one person wounded. AFP journalists reported hearing strong explosions. Another massive attack on the Capitol, possibly several waves of enemy drones. Statement from Tamar Tkachenko, head of Kiev's military administration, quote, stay in shelters while the danger persists, end quote. Russia's UN Security Council representative said U.S. opened a Pandora'S Box with its attack on Iran. Trump will meet with his national security team on Monday at 1 p.m. to discuss the results of the strike on Iran. CNN hosts were rushed to a bomb shelter and suddenly cut the signal. There was a red alert warning Iranian missiles were 90 seconds away. Tom Homan warns Iranian sleeper cells inside the U.S. may be poised to carry out terrorist attacks. Intelligence officials say Iran-backed militias are getting ready to attack U.S. bases in Iraq and possibly in Syria. Lindsey Graham is urging President Trump to remove the Iranian government and install a new leadership. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says the United States should withdraw from the United Nations. Atomic Energy Organization of Iran says nuclear facilities are being rebuilt quickly. Activity will continue at a higher intensity. Tel Aviv City Hall was also illuminated in a tribute to the United States. The United States is monitoring the movements of Iranian missile systems and drone launchers in preparation for an attack against its assets in the region. United States Air Force B-2 bombers returned after attacking Iran's nuclear sites. Widespread waves of attacks in Iran, belts of fire in central Tehran, attacks also in Tabriz and Kermanshah and Bushehr. I thought we got them all. I thought it was all over. I guess not. Oil futures surging following Trump's strikes in Iran. IAEA Chief Grossi says the global nuclear non-proliferation regime is at stake and could collapse under current circumstances, you think? He also said Iran informed us of no increase in radiation levels at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. China's UN envoy says we strongly condemn the American attacks on Iran. New York Times citing U.S. officials, Iran-backed groups are preparing to attack American bases in Iraq and possibly Syria, Al Jazeera. And oil prices surged over 4% after the U.S. strikes on Iran's Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan nuclear sites. Brent crude rose to $80 per barrel, with analysts warning prices could hit $100 a barrel if Iran retaliates by targeting Gulf of oil infrastructure at the Strait of Hormuz. Bad Bobber, thank you so much for being a member. And you too can be a member here on the Crisis Report, should you choose to be that. Little link in the description right there. Love to have you. Trying to find, I had a thing from Ice Age Farmer on here. I wanted to focus on that. I might have passed it. Or maybe I didn't include it. I thought I did. I put it onto my locals and my Subscribe Star. Great places to be too. Yep, I think I missed it. Yep. I ought to have seen it by now. I obviously didn't include it, but it was a post by Christian reminding us all how much food and fertilizer goes through the Strait of Hormuz. And if it gets closed, it's not just an oil problem, it's a food problem. So as he asks, how's your garden growing? This is your crisis report, folks. I know. I disagree with the strike on Iran. I don't hate President Trump now. I'm not going to go all anti-Trump. But I disagree with the strike. I do. I don't like it. And I worry that in the coming days and weeks, I'll be reporting about all the problems and all the unintended consequences that they just didn't take into account. And I hope I'm wrong. I do. I hope I'm wrong. So, We shall see. Okay? If you like what we're doing here, which is just telling you straight what's going on, sure, I have my political leanings, but I try to tell you straight and get it from all sides. Please join us as a member, like Weaponized Autism. Thank you so much. Correct. There's no reason to get upset over things you can't change. So, all we can do is keep reporting on it, talking about it, and yeah. All right. Well, friends, God bless you all. No, I don't have a Patreon. I got kicked off because I was a little too truthy over there. Yep, little butthurtians got a little worried. So I went over to Locals and Subscribestar. Going over there, they're better channels anyway. Patreon sucks. All right, friends, God bless. Hit the like button and stuff. We will see you on the next one. And keep prepping and keep questioning and, keep our people's leaders' feet to the fire. See you on the next one. God bless.